The alarm lights blinked red across the communication room. Hana sat up straight. In her chair, her fingers moving quickly. Over the control panel, something was wrong. The signal coming through the speakers was weak and broken, but she could hear the fear in the voice. "This is Sanctuary 7 under attack. Please help us." Hana pressed the button to record everything. She had worked at the monitoring station for 3 years, and she had never heard anything like this before. The voice belonged to someone from the Velen species. They were peaceful people who spent their lives making art and studying the stars. They never hurt anyone. They did not even have weapons. "Send it to Ambassador Tammin right away." Hana told her assistant, "Mark it as urgent." Across the galaxy on the massive Galactic Council station, Tammin was sitting through another boring meeting. The council members were arguing about trade routes again. They had been arguing about the same thing for 6 weeks. Tammin was human, and he had served as Earth's ambassador for 5 years. He knew how these meetings worked. Everyone talked, but nothing ever got done. His small device buzzed against his wrist. He looked down and saw Hana's message. As he read the words, his face became serious. He stood up quickly, interrupting a long speech by the Thraxian representative. "Council members, we have an emergency," Tammin said. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the concern. "I am sending you all a distress signal. Please listen." He played the recording. The room fell silent as the desperate voice filled the chamber. The villain was crying as they spoke. They described ships in the sky, strange creatures that consumed everything, buildings falling apart. Then the signal ended with a scream. "The Krieks," whispered Counselor Velmer, "a thin alien with blue skin. They should not be in this sector." Tammin had heard of the Krieks before. They were a nightmare that moved from world to world. They were not just invaders. They were a swarm of creatures that worked as one mind. They landed on planets and consumed everything living. They took the knowledge from the beings they killed and made themselves smarter and stronger. "We must send military help immediately," Tammin said. "Every hour we wait, more villains die." The council chamber erupted in noise. Different species started shouting at the same time. Some wanted to help, most did not. "Military action takes time to organize," said Counselor Threen, speaking for the Valorian unity. "We would need at least 4 months to gather a proper fleet." 4 months? Tammin could not believe what he was hearing. "The villains will all be dead in 4 weeks. Then perhaps we should discuss sanctions against the Krieks," suggested another counselor. "We could issue a formal statement of condemnation." Tammin felt his hands close into fists. He forced himself to breathe slowly. These people were going to debate while an entire species died. He had seen this before. The council was good at talking. They were terrible at doing anything that mattered. "I call for an immediate vote on military intervention," Tammin demanded. The vote happened quickly. 32 species voted no. Only 8 voted yes. Humans voted yes. So did the villain's few allies. Everyone else chose to do nothing. "We will send a diplomatic mission in 3 months, the council leader announced, to investigate the situation. Tammin sat down heavily in his chair. 3 months? By then Sanctuary 7 would be empty, just another dead world that the council had failed to save. He thought about the voice in the recording. Someone's child, someone's parent. Someone who thought the galaxy would help them after the meeting ended. Timing walked quickly to his private office. He locked the door and opened a secure communication channel. This one did not go through the Council's network. It went straight to Earth, to a place that most aliens tried to forget existed. Earth Defense Command. This is Ambassador Taemin. Authorization code Phoenix 77 Alpha. The screen flickered. A face appeared. Admiral Sun Ho looked like he had just woken up. His gray hair was messy, and his uniform jacket was not buttoned properly, but his eyes were sharp and clear. Taemin, it has been a long time. Sun Ho said, you only use that authorization code for emergencies. We have an emergency, Taemin replied. He sent the distress signal and the location of Sanctuary 7. The Krakes are attacking a villain colony. The Council voted to do nothing. Sun Ho watched the recording. His expression did not change, but Taemin knew him well enough to see the anger building behind those calm eyes. They had served together before many years ago when Sun Ho was just a captain and Taemin was a young pilot. How many villains are on that world? Sun Ho asked. 50,000, mostly scientists and artists. They have no weapons, no defenses. Sun Ho was quiet for a long moment, then he leaned forward. You know what you are asking me to do? We signed the treaty. We promised to keep our warships at home. We said we would only defend Earth's territory. I know if I mobilize the fleet, it will scare every species in the galaxy. They will remember what humans can do. They will remember why they made us sign that treaty 50 years ago. I know, Teen said. Again. But those people are dying right now. The 6 will not stop. If we do nothing, more worlds will fall. Eventually, they will grow strong enough to threaten everyone. Sun Ho rubbed his face with both hands. He looked tired, so very tired. I have been an admiral for 15 years. I have kept the peace. I have followed every rule. I have kept our people safe by keeping our ships quiet, and you have done it well, but sometimes keeping the peace means being ready to fight. The admiral stood up from his chair. Taemin could see him moving to a wall panel. Sun Ho pressed his hand against it, and the wall slid open. Behind it was something that Taemin recognized. Uniform, not the simple one Sun Ho wore. Now, this was a combat uniform, darkened, covered with old medals. It was the uniform of the Human Defense Fleet. During the war, I need you to do something for me, Sun Ho said. Resign your position. Come home. I will need someone who understands both the military and the council. I resign. Right now, Taemin said without hesitation. I am coming home. Sun Ho picked up the old uniform and held it. Then let me make some calls. Tell Hana to keep monitoring that signal. We need to know how much time we have. Transmission ended. Taemin sat alone in his office for a moment, then he began typing his resignation letter. It was short. He did not explain himself. He simply said he could no longer serve a council that let people die while they debated. Meanwhile, in the deep dark of space far from the core worlds, something was beginning to happen. Admiral Sun Ho's first message reached the fleet. Lights turned on in ships that had been sleeping. Crew members woke up and ran to their stations. Weapons that had been powered down for decades began to charge. The indomitable flagship of the Human Defense Fleet rumbled to life. Captain Jiwon stood on the bridge and read the orders on her screen. She had Been waiting for this day, part of her. Had hoped it would never come, but another part, the part that remembered what she had fought for so long ago. Felt relief, 47 warships, that was all. Earth had kept ready, it was all they were allowed to keep under the treaty. But those 47 ships had been maintained perfectly, their crews had trained every day for 50 years, and now finally they had a reason to move. The distress signal from Sanctuary 7 played through the fleet communication network. Every human who heard it felt the same thing. Anger, determination, and something the other species of the galaxy had forgotten about. Humans did not leave people behind, even if those people were aliens, even if the whole galaxy said to wait. Humans answered when someone called for help. Admiral Sun Ho sent one final message to all ships, battle stations. We launch in 12 hours, let them see what. They woke up. The call came at dawn. Lieutenant Yan Wu was eating breakfast when his communicator exploded with noise. Emergency signals, battle alerts, every warning sound that existed, all at once. He dropped his food and ran toward the hangar bay, pulling on his uniform jacket as he moved. Around him, the entire station was waking up like a sleeping giant. Yan Wu was young, only 24 years old. He had joined the defense fleet 2 years ago. His older brother had served during the last war, 50 years before Yan Wu was even born. His brother told him stories, but Yan Wu had never truly believed them. Humans fighting across the stars. It seemed like ancient history. Now those stories were becoming real. All personnel to your ships, the voice boomed through the station speakers. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Yan Wu reached the hangar where his ship waited. The shadow of Earth was a stealth destroyer, small and fast. Its captain was already on board. Captain Jiwan stood near the airlock, checking names as crew members rushed past her. Lieutenant Yan Wu reporting, he said, breathless. Jiwan looked at him. She was older, maybe 45, with scars on her hands that she never talked about. Everyone knew she had fought in the previous war. Everyone knew she had seen terrible things. Get to your station, Yan Wu. We launch in 8 hours. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were different. They looked far away, remembering something. Today, you will learn why other species fear us. Yan Wu ran to the bridge and took his position at the tactical console. Around him, the crew worked with perfect coordination. These were not frightened people, they were focused, ready. Yan Wu realized something then. Everyone else had been waiting for this. They had all known somehow that peace could not last forever. On the flagship Indomitable, Admiral Sun Ho walked through the corridors. Engineers ran past him, carrying equipment and shouting numbers to each other. The ship hummed with energy. It felt alive again. He found Yuna in the engine room. She was the chief engineer, a woman in her 50s with short gray hair and permanently oil-stained hands. She was shouting orders to her team while climbing on top of the main reactor core. Yuna, Sun Ho called out. She looked down and grinned. Admiral, come to see if the old girl can still fly. Can she? Yuna jumped down and wiped her hands on a rag. The Indomitable has been sleeping, not dying. We have been maintaining her perfectly. But more than that, she leaned closer and lowered her voice. We have been upgrading her, all the ships actually. Sun Ho raised an eyebrow. The treaty said we could only maintain defensive capabilities. Oh, these are completely defensive, Yuna said with a wicked smile. We just defend. Really, really aggressively. New power. Cores, better shields, weapons that the Council has never seen. We have been very creative during our 50 years of peace. Why did you not tell me? You are the Admiral. If you knew, you would have to report it. We decided it was better if you could honestly say you did not. No, your smile faded. But I think you suspected. You never asked too many questions about our maintenance schedules. Sung Ho could not help but smile. I may have noticed we used a lot of resources for simple maintenance. So what woke us up, Yuna asked, must be bad if we are moving the whole fleet. Sang Ho told her about the villains, about the Krakes, about the councils. Vote to do nothing. Yuna's face became hard as she listened. Those council cowards, she said, 50,000 people crying for help, and they want to send a diplomatic mission in 3 months. That is why we are going. Prepare the fleet for maximum speed. We have 72 hours to reach Sanctuary 7, maybe less. Yuna nodded. We will be ready, Admiral. This ship has been sleeping long enough. In the communication center, Hana was still monitoring the distress signal. It was getting weaker. Sanctuary 7 was sending fewer and fewer messages. Now the last one had come 3 hours ago. It was just crying, no words, just someone crying. And then silence. Her screen flashed. New message from Earth Defense Command. The fleet was launching in 6 hours. Ambassador Tammin was on his way back to Earth. He would join the fleet as their liaison to the Council. Hana felt a strange mixture of fear and pride. Fear, because she knew what this meant. Humanity was going to war again. Pride, because they were doing it for the right reason, not for territory, not for resources, for people who needed help. Across human space, similar scenes played out. Every defense fleet installation received the same orders. Crews who had trained for decades suddenly had a real mission. Ships that had waited in the dark began moving toward the gathering point. One by one, the warships appeared in the space above Earth. Indomitable was the largest, an enormous battleship that could carry 3,000 crew members. Around it gathered destroyers, cruisers, frigates, and support ships. 47 vessels in total. It did not sound like many. The Threxian Empire had 500 warships. The Valorian Unity had over 1,000, but those ships were built for show, for patrols, for peace. These human ships were built for something else entirely. Captain Juan watched the fleet assemble from her bridge. The Shadow of Earth was the smallest ship present, but it had its own purpose. While the big ships fought the stealth, destroyers would slip through enemy lines. They would rescue survivors. They would strike where the enemy did not expect. Captain Hyan Wu said from his station, I am picking up a lot of communications from the Galactic Council. They are demanding we stand down. Ignore them, Juan said simply. They are threatening sanctions. They say we are violating the treaty. Ji-Yuan turned to look at him. Lieutenant, let me tell you something about that treaty. 50 years ago, humans fought against an enemy that was destroying entire civilizations. We won. We drove them back, and you know what happened next? The species we saved became afraid of us. They said we were too dangerous, too violent. They made us promise to keep our warships at home. She walked closer to Hyan Wu Station. We agreed because we wanted peace. Because we hoped the galaxy could protect itself, but every year I watched the council fail, I watched them debate while people died, I watched them choose comfort over courage. Her voice became harder. The treaty is meaningless if we let good people be slaughtered too. Maintain it. Hien Wu swallowed hard. What if the other species attack us for breaking it? Then we will deal with that when it happens, but I will not let children die because we are afraid of breaking a rule. Admiral Songho's voice came through the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Sangho. By now you have all heard the distress signal from Sanctuary 7. You know that the Galactic Council has chosen an action. You know that we are violating the treaty by responding. Every crew member on every ship stopped to listen. I am giving each of you a choice. This mission is volunteer only. If you do not want to participate, you may leave now. No punishment, no shame. I will not order anyone to break the treaty against their will. The fleet waited. Ship after ship reported in. Not a single person chose to leave. I see, Sangho said, and there was emotion in his voice. Now then, let me tell you what we are going to do. We are going to travel to Sanctuary 7 at maximum speed. We are going to fight the Krakes, and we are going to save every villain we can find. We are going to remind the galaxy what humanity stands for. He paused. They call Earth a death world. They say our planet is so dangerous that it made us into weapons. Maybe they are right. Maybe we are dangerous, but we are dangerous to those who prey on the weak. We are dangerous to those who think might makes right. We are dangerous to those who believe that some lives do not matter. Every human in the fleet felt their spine straighten. The Catholics are about to learn what humanity learned long ago. On our death world, we protect each other. We do not abandon our people. And today, the villains are our people. Today, anyone who calls for help is our people. Admiral Sun Ho's image appeared on every screen. He was wearing his old combat uniform. Now all ships prepare for jump. When we arrive at Sanctuary 7, there will be no diplomacy, no warnings. The Krakes understand only one language, and we are going to speak it fluently. Battle stations, we launch in 1 hour. The fleet moved into formation. Jump. Engines powered up, creating ripples. Space. On Earth, people looked up at the sky and watched the ships disappear one by one. They did not know if the fleet would return. They did not know what would happen next, but they knew one thing: humanity had made its choice. Let the galaxy condemn them. Let the council issue its sanctions. Some things mattered more than peace. Some things were worth fighting for. The last ship vanished into jump space. The Deathworlder Armada was awake, and it was hunting. 71 hours after leaving Earth, the human fleet dropped out of jump space at the edge of the Sanctuary 7 system. What they saw made even the veterans fall silent. The planet looked sick. From space they could see dark patches spreading across the continents. Crebile formations consuming everything organic. The oceans were turning gray. The atmosphere was beginning to change color. In orbit, debris floated where stations used to be. Broken metal, frozen bodies, the remains of a peaceful civilization. How many Kree ships? Admiral Sun Ho asked quietly. Yan Wu and LT Unc and GT's hands moved across his console. His voice shook slightly as he read the numbers. Long range scan shows 214 vessels, Admiral. Most are medium-sized. 30 are large, 3 are very large. Sung-ho looked at the tactical display. The Kree fleet surrounded the planet like a disease. Their ships were not built. They were grown, organic vessels covered in what looked like armor but was actually thick skin. They pulsed with movement, living things. The three large ones, Sung-ho said. Those are prime nodes, hive mind, coordination centers. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at the man who had just spoken. Kite stood near the back, wearing a researcher's uniform. He was a scientist, not a soldier, but he had studied the Krakes for 20 years. I asked him to join us, Sung-ho explained. Kite knows more about the Kicks than anyone alive. Kite walked forward, his eyes fixed on the screen. The Kicks are not individuals, they are all part of one intelligence, one mind spread across millions of bodies. The prime nodes are where the thinking happens. They process information from every creature and send back orders. Can we communicate with them? Asked Thyman, who had arrived on the flagship just before the jump. No, the Krakes do not negotiate. They do not even understand negotiation. They see other life forms as food, as resources, nothing more. Kite pointed to the screen. See how they move? Perfect coordination. Every ship knows what every other ship is doing. They do not need to talk, they just know. How do we fight something like that? Yan Wu asked. Kite smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We are unpredictable. That is our advantage. The Krakes have only fought species that value survival above all else, species that retreat when hurt, species that protect their leaders. He looked around at the human crew. You are different. Humans do things that make no sense to the hive mind, sacrificing one to save many, attacking when retreat is logical, fighting even when victory seems impossible. Captain Juan's voice came through the communication system. From the shadow of Earth, Admiral. Request permission to begin stealth approach. My team can scout the planet surface and locate survivors. Permission granted. All stealth ships begin approach. Use the debris field for cover. 6 small ships detached from the fleet and vanished. Their stealth technology made them nearly invisible. They would slip past the sea thicks and find whoever was left alive down there. Sung-ho turned to his communication officer. Send a message to the planet all frequencies. Let them know we are here. The message was simple. This is the Human Defense Fleet. If you can hear this, stay in your shelters. Help is coming deep below the surface of Sanctuary 7, in a bunker that was never meant to be a fortress. Nari heard the message. She was the chief scientist of the colony. For the past 4 days she had been trying to keep everyone calm as the world ended above them. Food was running low, air was stale, children were crying, and the Krakes kept digging. They could hear the scratching sounds getting closer. When the human message came through their communication system, Nari started crying. She had thought they were forgotten. The Galactic Council had sent one message 3 days ago saying help would come in 3 months. They might as well have said never, but now someone was here. Someone had answered. Did they say human? One of the other villains asked. The Deathworlders. Nari had heard the stories about humans. Everyone had. The species from the dangerous planet, the ones who made the council nervous, the ones who had been forced to sign a treaty promising to stay home. But she did not care about stories anymore. She cared that someone had come. Broadcast our location, Nari ordered. All bunkers, everyone who is still alive, send your coordinates to the humans. Aboard the Shadow of Earth, Hyun Wu watched his screen fill with signals. Dozens of them, underground locations. Scattered across the planet, each one was a bunker full of survivors. Captain, I am receiving coordinates from the surface. I count 43 bunker locations. Some signals are very weak. Jiwon studied the tactical map. The bunkers were spread across 3 continents. Crakes were on top of most of them. This was not going to be easy. Send the locations to Admiral Sun Ho. He needs to see this on the indomitable. Sun Ho looked at the map and felt the weight of it. 43 bunkers. Possibly 47,000 villains if the population counts were right, and covering them was an army of Crakes. The ground forces alone numbered in the millions. We need to split our objectives, Sun Ho said. Fleet action to eliminate the Kree ships, ground forces to secure the bunkers and evacuate survivors. Bo stepped forward. She was the commander of the Marine Corps, a tall woman with burned scars down one side of her face. Admiral, give me every Marine we will clear a path to those bunkers. The Kree's ground forces outnumber you 1,000 to 1, then it is a fair fight, Bo said without smiling. Sir, my Marines have been training their entire lives for this. We know what we signed up for. Let us do our job. Sang Ho looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. You have tactical command of all ground operations. Do whatever you need to do. Bora saluted and left to brief her troops. Sung Ho turned back to the tactical display. He traced the positions of the 3 prime nodes with his finger. They were positioned in a triangle around the planet. Perfect defensive formation, each one supported the others. What happens if we destroy a prime node? The scientist thought for a moment. The hive mind becomes less coordinated, like cutting connections in a brain. The Crakes would still function, but they would be slower to adapt, less efficient. Destroy all 3, and the swarm would collapse into chaos. Then that is our target. Sun Ho raised his voice to address the entire bridge. Battle plan is as follows, Captain. Jiwon stealth destroyers will extract survivors from the bunkers. Marine Commander Bo's forces will secure extraction zones. The main fleet will engage the Kree Armada with one objective: destroy the prime nodes. He looked around at his crew. This will be difficult. The Kree outnumber us badly. We will take losses, heavy losses, but if we can eliminate their coordination, we can save this world. Are there any questions? No one spoke. Good. All ships to battle stations. Marines prepare for drop pods. Stealth ships, begin your approach. Sang Ho took a deep breath. Remember, we are not here for glory. We are here because people need help. We are here because no one else would come. We are here because it is right. The fleet moved into attack formation. Indomitable led the way, its massive guns charging. Around it, the smaller warships spread out like a net. They looked tiny compared to the Crake swarm, 47 ships against 214, but numbers did not tell the whole story. On the Shadow of Earth, Captain Jiwon watched the planet growing larger in her view screen. Somewhere down there, people were waiting, children huddled in the dark, scientists who had never hurt anyone, artists who just wanted to create beauty. Hyun Woo, find me the bunker with the weakest signal. We go there first. That would be Bunker 17. Signal has been fading for hours. They might not have much time. Then we move fast, helm plot a course. Maximum stealth, if the Krefix detect us before we reach the surface, those people die, the stealth destroyer slip through space like a shadow. Behind it, 5 other stealth ships followed. They pass through the debris field, using the wreckage for cover. Creole ships drifted past, their organic sensors searching for threats. But the human ships were ghosts, silent, invisible. On the surface, Nari gathered everyone in the bunker. Listen to me, the humans are coming. They will extract us, but we need to be ready to move fast. Take only what you can carry. Help the children. Stay together. What if the Kicks attack while we are evacuating? Someone asked. Nari did not have a good answer for that. Then the humans will deal with them. We have to trust them. Above the planet, Admiral Sung Ho gave the final order. All ships begin the attack. The human fleet charged forward, every gun opened. Fire at once, missiles streak through space, leaving trails of light, energy. Beams cut through the darkness. The Kree swarm reacted instantly, turning to meet the threat. Their ships moved as one, like a school of fish changing direction, and then the battle began in earnest. The space around Sanctuary 7 filled with fire and death, metal against flesh, technology against biology, and in the middle of it all, small ships carrying Marines dropped toward the planet's surface like falling stars. Bo Rose stood in her drop pod, surrounded by her team. Through the small window, she could see the planet rushing up to meet them. Somewhere down there, people needed saving. Marines, she shouted over the communication system. Today we show the galaxy what humans do best. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. We stand between the innocent and the monsters. Are you ready? The response was deafening. Hundreds of voices shouting as one. Ready. The drop pods hit the atmosphere. Fire surrounded them as friction heated their shells. Inside, the Marines held tight. They had trained for this. They were ready for this. They were humanity's answer to the distress call, and they would not fail. The space battle began. With thunder, the Indomitable fired its main guns, and the sound echoed through every corridor of the ship. Massive energy beams tore across space, slamming into Kree's vessels. Organic armor bubbled and burst. 3 ships died in the first volley, but the Krakes did not retreat. They never retreated. The swarm moved forward like a wave, surrounding the human fleet. Weapons fired back, sending streams of acid and organic missiles toward the human ships. The battle became chaos. Shields at 80%. Yuna's voice came through from the engine room. Keep firing, Admiral. We can take it. Songho watched the tactical display. The Krakes were doing exactly what he expected. They were trying to overwhelm the humans with numbers. Every human ship was now fighting multiple Kree vessels at once. All ships concentrate fire on the nearest prime node, Sun Ho ordered. Targets sent to your systems now. The human fleet changed formation, turning as one toward the massive prime node that floated on the northern edge of the planet. It was 3 times the size of any other Kree ship, a pulsing mass of biological technology, the heart of the hive mind in the sector. Hien Wu monitored the enemy communications from his station. Admiral, the Krakes are adapting. They are repositioning to block our attack on the prime node. Of course they are. Kite, what did you say? They have never fought anyone. Unpredictable, Kite nodded from where he stood. That is correct, then let us be unpredictable. Sung Ho opened a channel to the entire fleet, all cruisers ramming speed. Target the Krex line, do not slow down. Do not stop, break through by any means necessary. Silence fell on the bridge, ramming speed. He was ordering ships to crash into the enemy. Tamman looked at the Admiral. That will destroy our cruisers. The crews have already evacuated too. Escape pods, the cruisers are on autopilot now. We sacrifice 5 ships to save 50,000 lives. That is a trade. We'll make 5 human cruisers. Accelerated to maximum speed, they became missiles. Unstoppable and deadly. The Krex tried to destroy them, but it was too late. The cruisers punched through the enemy line like bullets. Through paper, explosions rippled across space. Dozens of Kree ships died instantly, and the path to the Prime node was open. All ships fire. Everything, Sung Ho commanded. Every weapon on every human ship fired at once. The Prime node tried to defend itself, but it was designed to coordinate, not to fight. Missiles struck its surface. Energy beams burned through its thick armor. For the first time, the Kree's hive mind felt pain. Prime node exploded. It was not a clean explosion. The organic ship came apart in pieces, spreading biomatter across space and across the battlefield. Something changed. The Kree ships hesitated just for a moment, just long enough for the humans to kill a dozen more. It worked, Hyen Wu shouted. Hive mind is disrupted. Do not celebrate yet, Sung Ho said. 2 more Prime nodes remain, and the Krex learn quickly. On the planet's surface, the battle was even more brutal. Bo Ra's drop pod crashed through the roof of a Kree's nest, a massive organic structure built over Bunker 17. She and her squad came out fighting. Krexic warriors were everywhere. They looked like insects mixed with nightmares. 6 legs, bladed arms, acid that dripped from their mouths. They moved fast, faster than any human, but humans had something the Kree did not. Weapons that fired explosive rounds, armor that could take punishment, and the absolute refusal to quit. Clear the path. Bora fired her rifle, each shot precise. Kree warriors fell, green blood spraying. Her squad moved like they had trained 1,000 times because they had demo team blow that wall. 2 Marines ran forward with explosives. Kree warriors charged at them. The Marines did not stop. They placed the charges even as claws tore at their armor. 1 Marine went down. His scream cut short. The other pressed the trigger. The wall exploded. Beyond it, a metal door. The bunker entrance. Breach. Team go. Marines with heavy shields pushed forward. Behind them, medics and evacuation specialists ran toward the bunker door. Boa covered them, firing continuously. Her rifle overheated. She dropped it and pulled her sidearm, never stopping. They reached the door. It was locked from the inside. The Marines pounded on it. This is the human defense force. Open up. We are here to extract you. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the door slid open. Velen faces stared out, thin and scared. Behind them, Nari appeared. She looked at the armored humans and the hell they had brought with them. How many of you are there? Bora asked quickly. 143, Nari answered. Can you really save us all? Bora looked back at the Krex forces regrouping outside. Her squad had lost 2 people already. More enemies We're coming, the odds were terrible. Yes, she said simply, stay behind my. Marines move when we move, do not stop. For anything, above them, Captain. Jiwon's stealth ship descended through the chaos. The shadow of Earth was taking fire. Now stealth did not help much when you were landing in the middle of a battlefield. Energy shields glowed as Kree's bow weapon struck them. Set down next to the bunker, Jiwon ordered. Drop the loading ramp, we take everyone aboard in one trip, Captain. Our shields will not last, her pilot warned. Then we work fast, Hyun Woo. Target those Krek's concentrations, keep them back as long as you can, Hyun Woo. And LT Unk and GT's fingers flew across his weapons console. The ship's guns fired, clearing a small space around the bunker, but more Seathics kept coming, always more. The ship touched down, the ramp dropped. Boar's voice came through, move. Everyone move now, the villains ran. Parents carried children, the elderly were helped by the young. They ran through hell toward the human ship. Marines formed a wall between them, and Thurix. Some Marines fell. They died so that others could escape. Nari was near the back. She saw a Marine take a Krake's blade through his chest. He did not die immediately. He grabbed the creature and held it, letting his squadmates shoot it. Then he fell. Nari had never seen such courage or such violence. Everyone aboard. Bora shouted. She was the last one up the ramp. Her armor was cracked and smoking. Go lift off. The shadow of Earth rose into the air, its engines screaming. Krafik's warriors jumped at it, trying to bring it down. The ship's guns fired point blank, clearing them away. Then it shot upward, breaking through the atmosphere and back into space. Bunker 17 evacuated, Jiwon reported to the fleet. 143 survivors heading to the next location across the planet. Similar scenes played out. 5 other stealth ships landed at different bunkers. Marines fought and died to clear paths. Survivors ran through fire. Some bunkers were easier, others were nearly impossible, but one by one the humans refused to leave anyone behind. In space, Admiral Songho was watching his fleet fall apart. 7 ships were destroyed. 6 more were so damaged they had to withdraw. The Krez had adapted to human tactics. They were no longer falling for the same tricks. Admiral, we cannot reach the second prime node, his tactical officer reported. They have too many ships defending it. Sung-ho studied the display. The officer was right. The Krakes had learned from the first prime node's death. They surrounded the remaining 2 with layers of protection. A frontal assault would fail. Then we do not go frontal. He opened a channel to Captain Jiwon. Captain, how many survivors have you recovered? 3 bunkers cleared. Approximately 400 people, but Admiral, we cannot reach the southern bunkers. Too many CFIs in the way. I know I need you to do something dangerous. I joined the military for safe assignments, Jiwon said dryly. What do you need? Take your stealth ships. Approach the second prime node from below the orbital plane. Get as close as you can, then hit it with everything you have. Jiwon was quiet for a moment. Admiral, our ships are not designed to fight prime nodes. We are scouts and rescue vessels. I know what I am asking, but the fleet cannot get through. We need the prime node destroyed or everyone dies, including the people you just saved. Another pause. Then Jiwon and LT Unk and GT's voice came back calm and certain. Understood. We will make our Attack run, Shadow of Earth out, Hyan Wu. Heard the orders and felt his stomach drop. They were going to attack a prime node and a stealth destroyer. It was suicide, but he looked around the bridge. At his crewmates, no one objected, no. One seemed surprised. They all knew this might happen. Captain Jiwen stood from her chair. All hands, this is the captain. We have new orders. We are going to attack a prime node. Yes, I know our ship is not designed for this. Yes, I know it is dangerous, but people are dying down there. Our fleet is dying. Up here we can change that. We can give them a chance. She walked through the bridge, making eye contact with each crew member. I will not order you to do this. Anyone who wants to take an escape pod and evacuate, you can do so now. I will think no less of you. No one moved. Hyan Wu surprised himself by speaking up. Captain, respectfully, shut up and give the order to attack. Jiwen smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew they might die, but was going to do it anyway. Helm, set course for the second prime node. Weapons, charge all systems. Everyone else, hold on tight. This is going to hurt. The Shadow of Earth and 5 other stealth ships broke away from rescue operations. They dove below the planet's orbital plane where fewer Kree ships patrolled. Then they turned upward, accelerating toward the massive prime node that floated above. The Kree detected them too late. By the time the swarm reacted, the stealth ships were already firing. Missiles struck the prime node's surface. Energy weapons carved lines across its organic armor. The small ships were like bees stinging a giant, but the prime node fought back. Massive bow weapons fired. One stealth ship exploded instantly. Another was hit and began tumbling through space. Jiwen's ship shook as a blast struck their shields at 30%. Someone shouted, keep firing. Jiwen commanded. All power to weapons. Yan Wu, find me a weak spot. Hyan Wu scanned through the chaos. His training took over, pushing aside fear. There a section where their previous shots had damaged the armor. Coordinates sent. It is not much, but it is our best chance. All ships, concentrate fire on those coordinates. Jiwen ordered the other stealth ships. They focused everything they had on that one weak spot. The prime node's armor began to crack, then break. Then it exploded inward as something critical ruptured. The prime node died, but not quietly. It detonated like a bomb, sending debris in all directions. Shadow of Earth was too close. A piece of organic metal the size of a car struck the ship's side. Hull breaches appeared across 3 decks. Atmosphere rushed out into space. The ship spun wildly. Damage report, Jiwen shouted, pulling herself back into her chair. Too many to list. We are venting atmosphere. On decks 2, 3, and 5 engines are down. Shields are gone. The crew fought to stabilize the ship, but it did not matter. The second prime node was destroyed. In space, the Kree swarm became even more disorganized. The hive mind was fracturing. One prime node remained. If the humans could destroy it, victory was possible. If they could not, everything they had sacrificed would be meaningless. The Indomitable was dying. Half its weapons were offline. 3 decks were exposed to space. Fire burned in sections that emergency systems could not reach. Yuna worked frantically in the engine room, trying to keep power flowing to critical systems. Admiral, we have maybe 20 minutes before the reactor becomes unstable, she shouted over the communication system. Admiral Sung Ho looked at the tactical display. 23 human ships remained operational. The Krake still had over 100, even with 2 prime nodes destroyed. The 3rd prime node floated on the far side of the planet, heavily defended. It had learned from the deaths of the others. It was not going to be easy to reach, but Sung Ho had one more move. All remaining ships form up on the Indomitable, he ordered. We are going to make a direct run at the last prime node, sir. We do not have enough firepower, his tactical officer protested. Even if we reach it, we cannot destroy it with what we have left. I know. Sung Ho stood from his chair. That is why we are going to ram it. This ship still has engines. We can still move. We will clear a path for the others. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what he was saying. The Indomitable would not survive. Neither would anyone aboard. Admiral, there are still 800 crew members on this ship. Tamman said quietly. I am aware. All non-essential personnel evacuate to escape pods immediately. That is an order. Sang Ho looked at his crew. Essential personnel, you are volunteers only. Anyone who wants to leave can do so. I will pilot this ship alone if necessary. No one moved toward the escape pods. The bridge crew stayed at their stations. In the engine room, Yuna laughed bitterly. I have been maintaining this ship for 20 years. I am not leaving her now. Throughout the Indomitable, crew members made their choices. Some evacuated, most stayed. They knew what they were doing. They had families back on Earth. They had lives waiting for them, but they also knew that 47,000 villains were depending on them, that the galaxy needed to see someone stand up to monsters. The Indomitable began its final voyage. The remaining human ships fell in behind it. Protecting its flanks, they moved toward the last prime node like a spear aimed at the heart of the swarm. The Krakes tried to stop them. Everything the swarm had left they threw at the human fleet. Weapons rained down. Organic ships crashed into human vessels. Both sides were beyond tactics now. It was just violence, pure and desperate. Another human ship exploded, then another. The Indomitable took hit after hit. Sections of the ship simply tore away, but it kept moving forward. Yuna diverted every bit of power from life support, from gravity, from everything except engines and forward momentum. Distance to prime node, Sung Ho asked. 30 seconds at current speed, Han Wu answered. He was still at his station, even though half the console was on fire. All remaining ships break away. That is an order. Get to minimum safe distance. The other human ships peeled off, their captains saluting the Indomitable as they departed. Only one ship stayed, a heavy cruiser called the Defiant. Its captain refused to leave. If you are ramming that thing, Admiral, you will need someone to make sure you hit it right, the captain said. The Defiant will hit it with you. Sung Ho smiled. It has been an honor, Captain. The honor was mine, Admiral. The 2 ships accelerated toward the prime node. The Krakes concentrated all their firepower on stopping them. It was not enough. The Indomitable was too big, moving too fast. At the last second, the prime node tried to move away, but it was too slow. The Indomitable struck the prime node at full speed. The impact was like a moon hitting a planet. Metal and organic matter mixed in an explosion that lit up space. The Defiant hit a second later, punching through the damaged prime node and detonating its reactor core inside it. Admiral Sung Ho had one Final thought before the end, we saved them. The third prime node died, and with it the Kree hive mind in this system collapsed completely. The remaining swarm ships stopped moving in coordination. They became confused, directionless. Some fled, others attacked each other. The threat was broken. On the surface, Bo-Ra was fighting at Bunker 31 when the Krex warriors suddenly stopped. They stood still as if listening to something only they could hear. Then they began to scatter. Some ran, some collapsed. The hive mind that controlled them was gone. Cease fire, Boer ordered. All Marines cease fire, secure the area, and begin evacuation procedures. She looked up at the sky and saw the flash of the final explosion. She knew what it meant. The Indomitable was gone. Admiral Sun Ho was gone, but they had won. In the shadow of Earth, Hyen Wu watched the battle end through sensors. Captain Juan's ship was barely flying. They had lost 30 crew members in the attack on the second prime node, but they were alive. The villains they had rescued were alive. Captain Hyen Wu said softly, "It is over. We won." Ji-Yuan nodded slowly. She looked exhausted, older somehow. At a terrible price. 23 ships lost, 8,000 people dead, including Admiral Sun Ho. She stood from her damaged chair. But we saved them. That has to mean something. Nari sat in the cargo bay of the shadow of Earth, surrounded by other villain survivors. They had been rescued from 5 different bunkers. They were alive because humans had decided their lives mattered, because Deathworlders had crossed the galaxy to answer a distress call. Why did they do this? One of the villains asked. Why did humans sacrifice so much for us? We are not their people. Nari remembered watching Marines die to protect her evacuation. She remembered Admiral Sun Ho's final transmission, calm even as his ship fell apart. I think to them, we are their people. Anyone who calls for help becomes their people. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council assembled for an emergency session. The chamber was more crowded than it had been in decades. Species from across the galaxy had sent representatives. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Tamman stood at the center of the chamber. He had returned to the council, not as an ambassador, but as a witness. Behind him, holographic displays showed footage from Sanctuary 7, the destroyed planet, the Kree invasion, the human response, the battle, the sacrifice. You voted to do nothing, Timon said. His voice was calm but hard. You decided that 50,000 lives were not worth the effort. You chose to send a diplomatic mission in 3 months, but we had evidence that 12 other worlds had already fallen to the Kree. Billions dead, and you still did nothing. The council chamber was silent. I am here to present evidence of negligent genocide. The Galactic Council had the power to stop the Kree expansion. You had the military resources. You had the intelligence reports, but you chose to debate instead of act. You chose comfort instead of courage. Nari stepped forward. She had come to testify. My world burned while you talked. My people died while you discussed proper procedure. Then humans came. They violated your treaty. They ignored your orders. And they saved us. Her voice broke. 8,000 humans died to save 50,000 villains. That is the ratio. That is what we are worth to them. For hours, the testimony continued. Other survivors spoke. Other species that had suffered under the Krakes shared their stories. The council could not deny the evidence, could not hide from their failure. Finally, a vote was called. The motion was simple: dissolve the current council, structure and create a new governing body, one that could actually respond to threats. The motion passed. The old council ended. That day, in the months that followed, the galaxy changed. 30 species signed mutual defense pacts with humanity. They did not want Earth to rule them. They wanted Earth to protect them. Humanity agreed, but with conditions. They would come when called. They would fight when needed, but they would not be bound by bureaucracy ever again. Heian Wu received a promotion to captain. He was given command of a new ship, the Indomitable II. It was named in honor of those who died at Sanctuary 7. His first mission was to hunt down the remaining Krex remnants scattered across space. Captain Jiwen retired from active combat duty. She became an instructor, teaching new officers how to fight, how to lead, how to know when breaking the rules was more important than following them. Bo Ra stayed on Sanctuary 7 for a year, helping rebuild. She trained Velen volunteers in basic combat, not to make them warriors, but to make sure they could defend themselves if evil came. Again, she told them about human history, about how Earth taught humanity that the universe was dangerous, that survival meant being ready to fight. Kite established a xenobiological research station in orbit around Sanctuary 7. Its mission was to study threats before they became existential, to give the galaxy warning of the next danger. Never again would a species like the Krex be allowed to grow unchecked. Nari joined the new Galactic Defense Initiative as a liaison officer. She worked alongside humans, helping other species understand them, helping them see that Deathworlders were not monsters, they were protectors. Dangerous, yes. Violent when needed, yes, but always aimed at those who preyed on the weak. A memorial was built on Sanctuary 7. It was simple, a wall with 8,000 names, all the humans who died saving a world that was not theirs. At the top, one sentence: they answered the call. Tammin became the new fleet admiral. He took command of an expanded human defense force, more ships, more crew, but the mission was the same: protect those who cannot protect themselves. Answer when someone calls for help. Be dangerous to those who deserve it. On the anniversary of the battle, he stood on the bridge of the Indomitable II and gave a speech that was broadcast across the galaxy. 1 year ago, 50,000 people sent a distress signal. The Galactic Council said no, but humanity said yes. We said yes because we understand something that others forgot, that civilization means nothing if we do not protect each other. That peace means nothing if we let the innocent suffer. He looked directly at the camera, to any species watching this, to anyone who might need help. Someday know this: Earth does not sleep anymore. We watch, we listen, and when you call for help, we will come. We do not care if the council approves. We do not care if it is dangerous. We do not care if the odds are against us. His voice became harder. We are humanity. We come from a death world that tried to kill us for millions of years. We survived by protecting each other, by never leaving anyone behind, and we will extend that same protection to anyone who asks. Tammin smiled. The galaxy called us dangerous. They were right. But they forgot the most important part. We are only dangerous to those who prey on the weak, to those who think might makes right to those who believe some. Lives do not matter, he straightened his uniform, so call us Deathworlders, call us violent, call us whatever you want. We know what we are. We are the ones who answer, we are the ones who come when everyone else says no, we are the ones who will burn our own ships to save yours. The transmission ended across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched and understood the old order was gone. New one was beginning, and at its heart was a simple truth that humans had always known. Some things are worth fighting for, some lives are worth dying for, and when someone calls for help, you answer. Always. In the deep reaches of space, new distress signals would come, pirates attacking a colony, a natural disaster. On a mining station, a conflict between species spiraling out of control, and each time the same thing would happen. Human ships would turn toward the sound of someone in trouble, engines would light up, weapons would charge, and the message would go out: this is the human defense fleet, we have received your distress signal, hold on, help is coming. The Deathworlder Armada did not sleep anymore, it watched, it waited. And when the call came, it answered. Always.